The 7th day of July 2025. You're welcome back. It's a Monday morning. It's windy. There was some rain yesterday, but it's a good bright morning. I might be a bit bedraggled looking. I had a heifer calving last night and all's well. Anyway, but it was meant a bit of not much sleep and a wee bit of anxiety. She started to calve on an outlying place a long time, 4 days before her time was up. And I couldn't get her in that time, so I had to stay up and keep an eye on her and that. So I'm a wee bit tired today, but not the worst. Anyway, we get over that. At least we have a good heifer calf. And one of the things I might do for you is I'll do a little video on the calves this year and show you the name of the sire so that you can check the bull and you'll be able to see how much the calf looks like the bull. It's just something I think will be a nice little exercise for you. Anyway, this is the Middle East conflict. And thank you, somebody there that mentioned the point that certain words, one beginning with or, you know the one, RRP, you know that one, that it could be triggering algorithms and getting me banned. And I don't know why I was banned before. But anyway, we'll try and keep it in a way that'll keep consistent with the channel's aims, which is real. Tell the real thing through education. Now, sometimes I give an opinion, and certainly I do give an opinion. It doesn't have to be all the time, because above all, it's most important that I inform my viewers so that they have a source that they know is the best available. Because you can go on to YouTube and other videos, and you can get coverage of Israel and Iran, and the people making them have a vested interest. They're actually part of propaganda. And you see places being blown up, and now you see Israel on fire, and that's not happening. Those things are not true. They were filmed somewhere else. And so you can't know what's what. You need to be fairly astute and know your sources to be able to give a reasonably good uptake on it. Now, I've stayed sort of neutral on that war for various reasons that it doesn't, I won't change it anyway. But it does give an idea. It does affect us all in that it affects decisions to do with trade and finance and other things and migration and all of that. So I'm going to give you a bit of a thing of it now. And this is the Middle East conflict. If we cut to the chase and go to the 7th of October 2023, a group called Hamas, which is the primary freedom fighters or terrorist organization, whichever you like to call it, in the Gaza Strip, which is a small part of land to the east of Israel. The West Bank is in the southwest of Israel. Gaza is in the east. Now, that's the Hamas crowd. Hezbollah is north of Israel in Lebanon. So Hamas guerrillas attacked a day out, a bit like Glastonbury or a bit like a Slane Castle concert, where people were having a bit of fun, young people. And the cruelty that ensued is just unspeakable. And they haven't handed back some of the bodies, and they haven't handed back some of the hostages. Unspeakable. Now, others will say, well, Israel was reaping what it sowed. Make what you like of that. But Israel then attacked Damascus, which is a Syrian capital, I think, big town, and it attacked the Iranian embassy, which is in breach of international law. It killed several people there. Then there has been plenty of fighting. There has been the pagers. There are things like a phone, but they don't ring, and these pagers exploded in Hezbollah's pockets and killed some of them. So then, comparatively recently, well, Trump took over, that's for a start, but comparatively recently, President Netanyahu has been constantly alarming, and has been for the last few years, that Iran was about to develop a nuclear weapon. Iran was dealing with the International Energy Agency, the head of which is a Mr. Grassi. Now, I'm sailing close to where I was when I was banned off YouTube, so I'm being more careful here. Now, the next thing was Israel is carrying out constant operations in the Gaza Strip. And I'd say about 3/4 of the buildings are damaged, and I'd say half of them are destroyed. All services basically are destroyed. There is a lot of hunger. There's all kinds of reports coming out of it. Won't do me any good to blacken or whiten anybody. Okay. President Trump took over this year, and that was a big boost. Well, presumably that's what the Israelis saw. And he made comments about relocating the whole population of Gaza, 2 million Gaza people, primarily to Egypt, which is the only normal Arab sort of country in that area. Okay, you have that so far. Now, the area of Israel is about 9,000 square miles. The area of Ireland, the whole island, is 32,000 square miles. The area of Iran is 620,000 square miles. So again, Israel is 9,000 square miles. Iran is 625,000 square miles. And Ireland is 32,000 square miles. So you can get an idea. Now, most of Iran is useless for farmland. It's just desert, that's all. But there are mountains and there are towns in it, and they have the oil, plenty of oil. Now, we're so far on there. So when Trump was take over, Netanyahu continually pointed out the impact of Iran getting nuclear weapons, for obvious reasons. Now, since in the last while, the leader of North Korea is thought to have developed a nuclear weapon and carried out a nuclear test. That's Kim Jong-un, who's aligned with Russia. He's like aligned to Russia, just as NATO has countries aligned to it. So he's supposed to have the bomb. Israel itself is said to have a nuclear bomb. And Iran were suspected of developing it. Now, there are a lot of military authorities who have said that Iran would prefer not to bother with a bomb. They had been cooperating, they say, with the International Energy Agency. Now, there is allegations. They're not pushed that strongly by Iran, but by some they are, that the International Energy Agency supplied the locations of the nuclear material and centrifuges and equipment to make nuclear bombs to the Americans, and there are allegations that the Americans supplied it to the Israelis. Anyway, I can't say if that's true or not, but it has affected the credibility of the International Energy Agency, and up to now, Iran has declined to have any more to do with them. And that means that whatever monitoring there was is now gone. There's no monitoring of Iran now at all. Now, there are two opinions. Some say Iran is going ahead to develop a nuclear weapon as a deterrent. And when they get that done, they'll just tell Israel, next time you come back in, bang. The other ones say that Iran doesn't want a nuclear weapon. I cannot tell you which is the truth. It's important, though, that you be aware that this is where it's at. Okay. Now, when Netanyahu opened an assault on Iran about the beginning of June, maybe the end of May, and there was a lot of bombing on Iran. But it appears, and I think this is right, the United States and Israel considered Iran to be a kind of a sand Arab type of a place, or kind of a backward place with camels and all of that, and lads with hooky knives and skirts on them and all of that. And that they had no idea of the level of development that Iran has. Now, I know from history that the Muslim country of Persia, which is the forerunner of Iran, had some excellent scientists. And some of them have been killed, some of them presumably have not been killed. So, apart from the nuclear weapons altogether, it appears that Iran put a lot of its oil money into conventional weapons. And where they got the expertise for that, well, I would be looking towards China, I would be looking towards North Korea, and I would be looking towards Russia. Now, these countries have a vested interest in the present government of Iran surviving. Now, one of the things that Netanyahu has publicly said on behalf of the Israeli government is they want the Ayatollah Khamenei out of there and his government out of there, and they want to put in a government more sympathetic to the West, a liberal government where you'd have windmills, you'd have pride marches and all of this stuff. That may be exaggerating a little bit, but they want a liberal type, like a German or a Dutch or a French government. That's their dear wish. And President Trump would go along with that, surely, and the Americans would go along with it. Now, I can't mention about money and the Jewish people. That was considered hate speech by YouTube. We don't need to, anyway, because when I get me dinner away over in different towns, people tell me this, they know all this, who has the money and who hasn't. Irish are in New York and America all their lives. It doesn't really matter. But what I can tell you is that on the 22nd of June 2025, Iran fired back. And among the missiles they had, some of them are that width, they're a metre and 1.2 metres in diameter, and they're over 15 metres long. They're like a big whale. And they're carrying conventional warheads, high explosives, but they can be fitted with nuclear if necessary. And the word that can't speak its name is a dirty bomb. That's where you have half enriched uranium included in the warhead. God help us. Not good. Iran has accused Israel of putting depleted uranium in some bombs they dropped. Again, sketchy. All of that bit is sketchy. So you can make that up yourself. But some of the rockets and weapons that Iran had developed were 5 times the speed of sound. Now, if you ever fired a shotgun, the shot charge leaves the barrel at about 11 to 1200 feet per second. A .22 rifle, if you buy cheap ammunition for messing about, it travels at about 1100 feet per second, but you can get them to go at 1500 feet a second. So if you take the average of an ordinary box of .22 cartridges, bullets, or whatever you like to call them, the rimfire, the ordinary one, they would be going around 1200 feet per second. And these missiles can go 4.5 to 5 times that speed. Moreover, they have one that will do a wobble, and it can trick safeguarding or Patriot missiles and defense missiles. Israel had the Iron Dome, which was meant to be impenetrable. But the Iranians launched an attack for 12 days, starting on the 22nd of June. And it shook the world. And it shook Israel, the United States, and the rest of the world. Nobody thought Iran had those conventional weapons. Now, Iran is entitled under international law to build conventional weapons and to possess them. They're not exactly entitled to have nuclear, only up to a certain grade for power generation, for nuclear power. So I'm totally have no opinion on the nuclear. Maybe they'll develop one, maybe they won't. But I do have an opinion on the conventional weapons. It was unbelievable. And when they fired one, the Israelis had to fire several, maybe 4 to 5, to try to intercept it. And some of the things they fired was only out cheap things. They fired maybe 10, 2 of them dropped halfway, 3 of them made it. And when they made it in over Israeli territory, Israel had to fire very expensive weapons and defense missiles to hit them. And the result was Israeli stock was depleted. There's a lot of footage, some of it which is fake. You go into a video on YouTube now and you'll see them showing, look at what Iran did to the Israelis. And I know from the background that that is 12 days old. In other words, they keep producing the same footage over and over again, making you think the war is going on. One of the buildings alleged to have been destroyed was the Mossad building, the Israeli intelligence agency's building in Tel Aviv. It's supposed to be 30 were killed in it. And that's a big 5-story building. And it's said that all the time it was manned by up to 30 people, watching all the things, watching radar, watching everything. And according to some of the reports, and I think Iran claims this, a rocket hit it directly and wiped it completely out. And that some building was destroyed, and it's said to be that building. Another rocket landed on a hospital, and the Iranians complain. The Iranians complain that there was a bioweapon placed at the back of it. In other words, the hospital, they say, was being used as a cover for making chemical and biological weapons, which are totally illegal. Again, I have no proof of that. That's what's alleged. And then there is allegations that the Iranians hit a place used to do research for nuclear bombs, and that it destroyed all of the information that they had gathered over years and years. That's what's been said. What I can tell you for certain is the level of damage was terrible, and the level of killings was terrible, and the amount of funerals was unbelievable. Now, some of my viewers will say, good enough for them, their own medicine, and others will say, no, Israel shall not be destroyed, it's in the Bible. All of that stuff, we'll not go there. It got so bad in Israel that Netanyahu had to beg Trump to intervene. Israel was going to run out of ammunition. And Trump launched 2 big bunker busting bombs. Oh, sorry, I thought things are a little tight in here. And they are supposed to have went down through a mountain and destroyed the nuclear facilities underneath. I think that's half right. It done damage, but it didn't wipe it out. And then the big question is, did Iran get rid of their nuclear and bring it somewhere else? There's supposed to be 450 kilos of uranium, which is refined down to 60%. And if they get up to 90, they have bomb-grade material. That's what is said. That looks like the case. Iran is an enormous country. Now, when you consider that Ireland is 32,000 square miles and it's 630,000 square miles, I mean, it's huge size. So now that is the situation. Also, when Trump dropped the 2 big bombs, he notified the Iranians and they got all their people out. Nobody was killed. Only telling you. Now, Iran immediately fired on a US base around Yemen or in Qatar, over there anyway. And they told the Americans and they got their people out. So it very much looks like Iran is trying to stay out of a row with the Americans. That's all I can say there. Now, Israel was in trouble. And they asked for a ceasefire, and Trump got a ceasefire between Iran and Israel, but it's tenuous. I'd say Iran had delivered the rockets they wanted. They got that done. Being done that, I'd say Israel needed time to pick themselves up. But they've suffered terrible losses. Now they'll get plenty of help from America and they'll develop more. One of the things that might not do them good is if it's proven that there was chemical weapons and biological weapons being developed under hospitals. So that's to look for. So the situation is ongoing. There's a temporary ceasefire at the moment. We'll see how that goes. There are some good videos which explains it, but there's a lot of them showing you falsehoods. Some of them saying, oh, Iran crushed Israel, and then Israel crushed Iran. Tutsi TV tells you, oh, Tutsi TV, Iran crushed Israel, Israel crushed Iran, he's pro-Israel, and then you have the reverse. So I'm not taking either side. My job is to educate you. That's where it is at the moment. Will it escalate? Not so sure. Has Trump the bottle to get into a war with Iran and then throw in the Russians? Probably. Not so sure. There's a lot. Israel's getting a lot of bad publicity, but some of his rascals. Glastonbury was better all who heard the come along and called for death to the Israeli IDF, Israeli Defense Forces. The police are investigating that. So that's the situation there. And then Trump is he's a loose cannon. He's unpredictable. We'll see what I'm not giving out about him. It's just that he's another factor that they all have to deal with. So, folks, is that a reasonably good summing up? I don't think I can be banned for anything there. I think I'm all right there. That is the situation. Elon Musk has begun to start to build a new party. He says that you have a uni party, the Democrats and the Republicans, just like you have Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael here, and same in England, and it's time to get a new party. I have to give my opinion. I don't think that's going to fly. I don't know. It's a pity, the whole thing. It's quite sad. And I do see there that some of the country that has a heap of women who ran from Afghanistan, terrorised by the Taliban, are being forced back to Afghanistan, and they face persecution because Afghanistan does not allow women to leave without their husband with them. And therefore we see these people representing countries that do that taking over in Britain, in the Europe and in Ireland. And that's why I think it's a big mistake. Enough said. Comment underneath. I hope I'm safe enough. If I can't get a video like that out, my job is to inform you people. Well, there's not much point in me being here at all. But I think I've steered in the right course there for now. So we'll see you back, and don't forget, thank you folks for checking me out on Rumble as well. We'll see you back, and bye bye. Thank you.